All right, welcome back to the You Can't Fool You podcast. I'm your host, Rockne O'Leary, and I have a special guest on, one of my dearest friends, Ryan Devlin, RD. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Not a problem, buddy. I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
of course. It's good to see you. It's been a.
It has. You've been away for a bit, but glad to have you back.
I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back, and we want to talk about the season for the YIs, the Young Islands, and a little bit about Gaelic football and your journey through it, and as someone who's got to experience playing Gaelic football for the first time for my short career. It's been an amazing sport, a sport that I wish that I knew about earlier. And I just had so much fun playing, man. It's just awesome, and the guys and just the whole community around Gaelic football here in Delaware County and the Philadelphia area is awesome. And so I'm gonna get into that.
I was actually thinking that today when we was driving here about what do you think it is with the GA that does attract like a newcomer and really, like how do you develop that love for it within a short space of time? Because it's all I've ever known. So, and I feel like it's a very, very difficult sport. I know we've had this conversation before, but it's a very difficult sport to pick up in terms of the skills that are required to play it. I would find it hard how a person doesn't get frustrated first before the love of it comes, but you seem to really like it from the get-go whenever you jumped in.
It's a good question. I think, well, as someone that happens from Irish heritage, I love Irish culture and everything about it. And I think just like most other sports is the community, and like everybody I talk to, I think it's so true, whether you're a football player, Gaelic football, baseball, but like the things that you miss from sports is being around the guys, being in the locker room, like the times where you're just hanging out, doing stuff is the stuff you missed. And so, once I was done playing football, it's like you don't really get that the same anymore. And so when I had the opportunity to just kind of get on a team, right, and be around the Irish culture and you guys, that's really what kept me in. It's like I love hanging around you guys, all the boys, and it was just so much fun hanging out together and just all the crack on the practice games and just the whole community. See everybody go up to the Limerick fields, and it's just like it's awesome. It's awesome to be a part of, and it was something new that was like seems like something that I could do and have fun with, and I just really enjoyed it. So I think it's the community really and the people that make it great.
Yeah, I mean that the reason I asked you is because like my answer will always be it is the togetherness, it is the family feel, it really is the environment that allows you to feel so comfortable within it, and there is a reason probably why. I think we have maybe 5 or 6 American lads playing with us there now, and a couple of them that have just recently joined, and they love it.
Yeah,
like no matter what level they're at, they love it, and I think it's the being a part of something that's a wee bit bigger than yourself. And for me, that comes with the environment that you create. You have to yes, you're here to try and learn a sport too, but there is a competitive side to it.
Oh, because they're so competitive
at the highest level. It's pretty insane, but. For me, definitely for like someone who's just joined the sport, my only answer is it's the community part of it. It's the family feel to it. It's the lads. It's the off the field. Like it's kind of funny to say, but like whenever we were growing up, we used to be like, you don't play football for the enjoyment of it. You play football for the nights out that come with it. The winning, there's what they are where the real memories are made. It's off the field stuff. And back home in Ireland, whenever you're growing up in a club, your home club is the town that you grow up in. Like you play for that team. Like that's probably why the whole community feel to it and bringing that over here.
Yeah.
And having that same kind of environment where it is still family based and there is 3 or 4 big families involved with it that allows everybody else to feel the same way about it. Like back home, I remember growing up, I was playing, four cousins were playing the same team as me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is, you just inherit that family feel with it. But for me, the answer would be like, it is the external rather than the internal that draws people back.
Yeah.
So,
And so for those listening, they don't know what Gaelic football is. Because,
the most famous question.
right? And so like people, and I've told people that I play, like, oh, what is that? Like, oh, maybe I've heard of that. And trying to describe it to somebody is a little bit challenging. So what is Gaelic football? And I think another good question is what is the difference between Gaelic football here in America and then Gaelic football played in Ireland?
Well, the first question, like I do struggle with it because even I feel until you actually show someone physically on phone or tape of the sport, it is very hard for them to grasp it because for years we've always been asked like, oh, that's that rugby thing that you play, or oh, that's like the where you have like a soccer ball that you. And it's like, yeah, and so then it kind of becomes, well, it's a mix between rugby and soccer, and that's the kind of way we describe it to people.
But like
Well,
you can't tackle somebody and bring them to the ground.
Exactly. So
But you can hit, and it's very physical.
very physical, and especially at the highest level, it's really really intense. The best way I can describe it is you can hold the ball can be on the ground as well, and realistically, it's like you're only allowed four steps. You have to take either a bounce or a solo. So like you know obviously what they are at this point, but so the solo is a very tough skill to get wrapped around, especially when you're moving at that pace. Um, but the easiest way I can like describe to people that it is a rugby scene in terms of you can't fist the ball across, you can't take it across. There has to be that strike in action. You can kick the ball as well. There is the way you score is by scoring into goal posts. There's nets at the bottom, kind of looks like a soccer goal, and then the two posts go up, kind of like a rugby post, and 1 point to go through, 3 points for a goal. It's a very tough question to explain and talk about because there is, for anyone that is listening that has no idea about the sport, the only advice I can ever give to anyone that really wants to see what it's about is just go on to YouTube and type it in. Yeah. And you will see firsthand exactly how crazy it is. Like crazy in a good way, obviously. It's just very physically demanding, and at the highest level now back home, it's just went to another gear. Out here, we obviously, the second part of your question, like it is very very tough to create the same thing that's going on at home. I mean, the sport to a lot of people in Ireland, it is the only thing. Like there is no soccer, there is no American football, there is no basketball, there's no baseball. Yeah, if you're not playing Gaelic football, there'd be some really hard questions asked in your house like that. Like if you so it is. It's kind of like, which is a good thing too, because for such an amateur sport, growing up back home, to be able to have such a love for something that never leads to a college degree or this is my job for life. That is truly a love that you have for the sport that carries you into your 30s and 40s. And then once you stop playing, you still keep involved with your club. You're still a huge influence in your club. And I just think there's not another organisation like it in the world because, in my opinion, at the highest level, them players are professional athletes. The way they train, how they go about their business, the way they look after themselves, and 90% of them have full-time jobs, which is crazy to think about.
I think that's another thing that like earned my respect immediately, especially being from the Philadelphia area. Like you see how crazy we are about sports here, right? Eagles fans, yeah, Phillies fans. We love our sports, but those guys are getting paid, and not that there's anything wrong with that. Like it's great, it's great. But to see the passion, like you guys have for the sport, and they don't. It's not their career. It's like, man, I respect that. So I want to learn more. I want to be part of it because we just around here we love sports.
And that is a huge thing when you come here and you do see the competition that in terms of like us trying to recruit players and stuff, and It is tough because people have their eyes on another part of something else, and you can't take that away from them. A lot of people, like, there's a lot of young lads that maybe come through, but their main focus is their sport in college that they're that they have a scholarship for, or so on, so on. So like, I feel like out here you can't. It's very hard to ask young lads to make this a priority.
Yeah.
When realistically, all we've ever known growing up is that we will finish playing this sport and we will be 35, 36, 40, whatever it may be. And there'll never be anything else that comes out of it, only than your pure love for the sport. But I think that's maybe why a lot of people's attitudes, that in terms of people that are involved in the GA, are so like, their attitude has to be top notch, because you are doing something basically straight out of pure love. There is no other drive, there is no other motivation, there isn't the money factor that comes along with it. And that to me, that's a beautiful thing. Like, it really is. It's like I remember growing up, like, I would have training for school, and you would be training from 3:30 to 5. I would have to leave that to go train with my county at 6 to 8. And that was all in one night, and that was after a full day of school, and your life was just consumed with football.
Yeah.
Like, every single night. As a youngster, every single night of the week I was doing something football related, and that kind of sets that person up for, this is what you're going to do, and people accept that obviously for what it is.
Yeah.
But the senior players at the highest level back home are definitely training at an elite level.
So then, explain how it works, because here you would have, right, like a youth league, then maybe you would play for middle school, or maybe a CYO, like a Catholic youth organization, and then you go to your high school, and then high school you would go to college, and then college you would go on to a professional. What is that like in Ireland?
So when you're growing up, everything's bracketed off by age groups. So if you play for your club, your hometown, essentially where you're from, they'll have a U18, a U10, a U12, a U14, a U16, U18, and so on until you become senior. But obviously you still have your schools. You still have to go through school, so you will have your school teams as well. Okay. That you'll go through playing, and it'll be bracketed out in an age group.
How old do the schools go to?
So in high school you'll go up that 17, 18 mark.
Okay.
And then you go on to college, and obviously there's college teams as well, which is they do offer. The college I went to was University of Ulster, Georgetown. They do offer like an elite athlete scheme.
Right.
And all it does is lower your grades. I don't know if it's changed much since I left, but I remember at that time I was able, like, if I had to get into like a 3A course, I was able to get into it with 3Bs, or so on. So like, it was like an elite athlete, it was just making it easier for you to get into your course.
Yeah.
But going through that process of the youth, and then obviously, as you know, there's the 32 counties in Ireland.
Yep.
So everyone obviously is from a certain county, and that's where the football's played at an elite level. That's where it doesn't go any. You can play for like a Railway Cup team or whatever. It goes into different provinces, Ulster, Connacht, so on,
right,
and it's split into 4. But that only happens once every so many years. County football is where that's the pinnacle of where it needs to go. And I mean, as a kid, you grow up and all you want to do is play county football. And that's your bread and butter. That's what you like to aim for.
And every county has a team.
So some counties might not be so strong in football.
Yeah.
Others are maybe stronger in hurling.
Yeah.
Hurling's another sport.
Hurling's also a crazy ass sport.
I think it's the best sport in the world.
It's crazy.
Like, I don't think I've seen a thing the other day. It was labeled like the fastest sport in the world.
Yeah.
Hurling's. I definitely think the hardest thing to do in the world of sports would be, I think personally, is hitting a baseball.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing to do in a sport. But in terms of physical demands and what it demands of you, like, hurling is, for anyone who hasn't seen it, like,
they like field hockey or lacrosse.
Like lacrosse is a more insane level. Like,
it's field hockey in the air.
No pads, right? Full contact. People swinging, just it's crazy. I never played it growing up because my county was predominantly football.
Yeah.
So within my county, I think there's only maybe 4 hurling clubs, right, as opposed to 50, 60 football clubs in my county.
Right.
So we didn't know anything else. I was never handed a I heard and said, this is what you're going to do. It was just football from my point of perspective. So my main aim growing up, I remember when I was 14, 15, 16, it was just like, I want to play county football.
Yeah.
That's where it's all, that's what it's all about essentially. So that's the highest level it can go to. But um, hurling and camogie is the men's and women's side of hurling. Obviously, camogie still hurling, but it's like that's what it's labelled as, is camogie. It's the girls' side of hurling.
Okay.
And it would be the hurling bracket would be a smaller terms of how many counties are involved in that. Football, what I would say is definitely the most. The most.
And so what county did you play in?
I played for County Tyrone. They would have been huge footballing county, very, very proud footballing county, and fortunate enough to grow up in that county and play for them as well for a bit at youth level. So, in Tyrone, that's as a youngster growing up in Tyrone, I can't speak for any other counties. I know there's a lot of them out there, but like winning All Irelands and stuff like that is all you're really known, and that's what your main aim is when you're playing for Tyrone. That's kind of how we were coached and brought up. Was a lot of people said it was cockiness and stuff like that, but I always labelled it down to just being confident in the fact that if you think you're good enough, like you then prove it. Like go out and do it. And I remember it is a pretty hard thing to make a county team at any level. And I remember my stint at the start, I was nearly just like kind of too happy to be there. I was 16 years old, and I was like, all right, I've made it to this point where I've kind of got on the verge of them looking at me. Mm-hmm. And then that year, they had maybe 5 or 6 games at the start of the year which they were looking at players, and I was never used once, but I fell into that mindset of I have next year, I have next year, I have next year. So all I wanted to do then was just put the head down. Hopefully I made the team, and I didn't think I would make the team because it wasn't used throughout the league basis in terms of them looking at you. And then they made the cut after the last league game for the final cut for the team, and I made it. And it was 3 or 4 weeks to the first round of the championship. I was just happy to be part of the panel at that point because I was so young. Yeah. And we played like a in-house friendly game against Greencastle, pretty sure it was, and they were a senior club team in Tyrone, so they used that as like another trial to take a look at players. And I played that game, and I played really well, and I ended up starting in the first round of the championship. And I remember saying at the time it was, I would always live by it, and I'm pretty sure Tiger Woods actually came out with this. It was, you have to work twice as hard for just half a chance. Yeah. That is something like that everyone, I think these days, a lot of people think a lot of things should be just warranted and guaranteed. And just remember growing up and how hard always knowing how hard it was to make Tyrone County football. Yeah. And just saying, like, if you get even half a chance, just make sure you show what you can do. And then that day, after not playing in 5 or 6 league games, I played in the friendly, and I started them 2 or 3 weeks later in the championships. Yeah. It was a big couple of weeks or months in my life anyway. It was huge. It was very, very huge part of my life at that time, that decision. Because it just set me up then to have a different outlook on Gaelic football, and then the real competitiveness started to come out. Yeah. Because you were playing county football, so you knew no matter what, every player around you was as good as you are. Right. And the player that you were marking was as good as you were, so there was no dip in quality levels or performance levels, and it really just did come down to who wanted it more. Yeah. And it's a good thing to grow up with that mentality of you know you're playing against the best, of course, because you want to be the best. Like, and I just remember that year, stepping out at the start of the years, we got humbled really, really early on by Dublin in the league final, and they ended up getting knocked out in their provincial championship to Kildare, I think it was. And I remember that was the turning point in the change room where everyone was like, right, we can really win this All Ireland. And sure to God, the last Sunday in September, we played in the All Ireland minor final and we won that point. So crazy year, yeah. Is that one of the best moments of your life? Yeah. I mean, like, there's a lot of other things that have happened, but in terms of huge moments for me, and especially like my family, my uncle played in an All Ireland minor final in 2004. And I remember being at the game in Croke Park, and I was like, I want to play here. Like, look at this stadium, like this is insane. I want to play here someday. And they won, and I was just like, I'm going to do that. And from then on, that's all I ever thought about was playing county football, getting to play at Croke Park, and to be able to go up there and lift the cup on that Iron final day that's every under 18's dream at that point, no matter where they're at. Like, I don't care. In Ireland, as a footballer, that's what you dreamed of doing, and you obviously are very, very fortunate enough to be able to do it. And it was up there, being able to see my mum after and stuff, and I'll never forget it. I remember walking up the steps, and she was just sitting there with a smile on her face, as if like it didn't matter if you won or lost today, Ryan, it's fine. Like, and I'm sitting there going like, come on, like, where's the excitement here? Like, but it was honestly, from the final whistle and even seeing them, everything was pretty much a blur.
Right.
It was very, very hard to take in. And I remember driving up the road to come back up home for our celebrations and the dinner and stuff that we had that night, which was like a huge banquet and stuff for us. I remember driving up the road, and everybody was like, imagine we lost today. And like, that people were turning around going, but the funny thing is, you never thought about losing, did you? And that always sticks with me. And I never once thought about, would that us? Not that I thought we were just going to win, but the thought of losing never crept into our minds until we were driving up the road as winners.
Right.
That's something that hit me hard going up the road that time. It was just like, oh, how different the state would have been.
Absolutely.
But
and that's like the thrill of sports, right? You can either big game like that with all, like, you can either come out win, or
I don't care what sport you're in. I genuinely feel like you will have more worse days than good days.
Oh yeah, always.
No matter what sport you're in. But I've been very, very, very fortunate enough to have a lot of really good days. Me personally, and teams that I played on, thank God. I know a lot of people don't get that fortunate. I've met a lot of Irish footballers. Some haven't even made finals in their life, which is crazy to think about. But it just makes you think when you talk with other players. It makes you think like how grateful they are to have had a success in the sport, because it doesn't come easy. Like,
what I think what's important to ask with that is, what did you learn from that experience? What did you learn from your experience when you got to county football and you're like, I was just happy to be on the team, and then you get to that point where you win the Iowa. What did you learn in between those two moments?
I think just to be, the most important thing I think for me at that time was to be humble, because I came from a club that didn't have a lot of players. Like, on underage, we would scrape to get players. I didn't come from a club that was very established back home, and like, we would always been playing in lower divisions and lower leagues growing up. So I think just to be humble and to make sure that you were going back to your club scene and they weren't looking at you any different.
Right.
And I know a lot of people in around that time. I'm not saying they were doing anything wrong. I was probably actually the one doing something wrong, but I remember never looking to miss my club training for the sake of county training. And managers would always say, like, look, Ryan, don't train. I was like, no. Like, this is my under 16 club team as well. So I'm going to play on it as well. You know what I mean? And it wasn't it just was second nature to me. It just wasn't who I was till I'm not training tonight. It might have paid for it now in the long term thing, player burnout maybe, I don't know. But I just love football at that time. I would have played for any team at any point. I never ever training was training, no matter who it was for. And I think that whole experience just really made me be humble in terms of not everyone gets to do what you done, Ryan. So just just keep your head down and just be the same person. That was pretty much it. It did mature me a lot, big time.
Yeah.
It matured me big time, like, because as you say, like, from going from being happy to be there to then the following year being the vice captain of the team and stuff, like, it was an awful leap to be going from just on the fringe to your leader in the dressing room type thing. But I loved it. Like, I loved every part of it. And to me, even at that point, and I go back to what we were talking about at the start, it was just the togetherness. Like, it was that team. Like, it was what you were so comfortable with the players that were on the team. Some of them I'd been in school with. Like, I played school football with them. So, there was a real togetherness to that team. And it really made me appreciate the team aspect of sport.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, especially being like a captain and developing your leadership skills. And how did you? So you went from just being happy to be on the team, then very quickly straight away being, vice captain. What did you learn about being in a leadership role? Because I've seen you with the guys on the YIs, and it's like, yeah, you definitely have call it that it factor, that leadership capability to be able to command the team. Everybody's got eyes on you, and being vocal and bringing the energy. Like you have that. What was that like starting out?
I think what it done for me was I didn't treat it like any other thing. It just was always, I was trained the same way. I wasn't hammered people for. I'd say it made me very, very good at having one-to-one conversations. Mm-hmm. So now how I use it now, is I think whenever you talk about whenever you're there, I've seen the way they respect you and stuff, and I think that generally comes down to having relationships with everyone.
Right.
I'm very, very easy to come and talk to as well. And I just always try and talk to the players. I'll say to them, I'm talking to you from a teammate's point of view. I ain't a manager.
Right, not the
coach. I'm a teammate. That's all I am.
Yeah.
And this is where it needs to be. This is where we need to be. And we just need to be better at this. And it's always a conversation. It's never telling. That's the way I find it.
People don't like to be told what to do.
People don't like to be told what to do. And I would hold my hands up and say I'm very, very good at that one-on-one engagement of talking to people.
Did it come naturally, or did you just struggle with it first?
I think it came from that whole phase of from that 16 age to 21, 22.
Right.
I think it came in that window of playing county football is what kind of got that to that point, because I was that type of player that the manager would give me a role, I'd execute the role. I would never just go and play my own game. And I think just knowing that everybody has a job, no matter even if you're starting or you're not, you have a specific job that day that you need to carry out. You have a role in your position, and I just think I'm just very easy to talk to, and that's maybe why I do get the respect sometimes. But I don't really make a big deal of any of that. I know it's easy for you to say because you're looking from the outside in, but it's just me being me,
Yeah, of course. Did you have was there a coach or maybe an older player or somebody that you kind of looked up to, or that really made it, that influenced you with one, how you viewed training, how you showed up, what type of character that you had, and helped guys you? Was there somebody?
The manager of that team, that Throne minor team, I'll always say he was the best manager I ever played under, only because he was so tough.
Yeah.
And I had so much respect for him as a coach. He was very hard on us, but hard just to the point of where it was just enough. I could tell you some crazy stories. You probably wouldn't believe me, but the week before the All Ireland final, the training wasn't going too well on the Tuesday night. Everybody was because our goalkeeper had recently broke his foot the week before, and everybody was kind of on eggshells. This could be taken from you like that.
Yeah.
We have a final in Croke Park on Sunday. Nobody wants to miss that. So I think everybody was kind of on eggshells for the training. So there wasn't a lot of contact, and this manager loved contact. Loved contact. He was nitty gritty. Raymond Monroe was his name, and he's still the best manager I've had to this day. Only because he just demanded you to just work.
Yeah.
He says, I don't care how you play today. As long as I can carry you off the field, you're to the point of where you've exhausted all avenues. And it did get to the point in some games where it was come on, you've done enough today in the tank. Let's come off.
Right.
So it was always just do your job, work hard, and he demanded that from everybody. So even the top players in the team, they were required to work hard. Everybody would work hard. And at that time at that training, whenever it was little contact, one of the players was coming soloing down the sideline, and he just stepped in.
The coach did?
Shouldered him straight to the ground, and everybody was and he busted his nose. The lad went into this was 3 nights before the All Ireland final, and everybody was just what? He knew what he was doing though, because he had a player that was always going to get on with it.
Right.
And now suddenly he walked into the change room and put 2 things up his nose and came back out and started singing again. he knew who was going after it, but it was a big wake up call. Probably the winning reason of the final that Sunday, to be honest. He was a huge influential role in me in terms of how I viewed the attitude and the mental side of football. He created like a self belief in our team that it didn't matter who we were playing, we always felt comfortable and that we would win.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to other county players from other teams, and they were like, "That's cockiness." I was like, "It ain't. It's not. Like it's a state of mind. How you perceive a game is like you don't want to go into a game doubting whether you can beat the team or not.
No.
But a lot of that age group, it's very easy to do.
Absolutely.
And he had us that way, and it was an insane. The more I look back on it, everything was mind games with him to the point of where he was creating a solid team in terms of how they viewed the game.
Yeah.
Rather than the performance he was going to get out of them. And the performance was always going to be there because they were always good enough footballers.
Right.
So he knew exactly what he was doing, and I loved that about him. And then the other biggest influence probably be my uncle at that time, because he's always only 5 years older than me, and he's an unbelievable footballer, to be fair. Like, and I was just following the steps. He won the All Ireland minor. I wanted to win the All Ireland minor. You know, he played for Throne 21s. I wanted to play for Throne 21s, and it was just like that's who I looked up to in terms of from a footballing point of view, was definitely him. And then obviously I would be around him. Like my town would be a small town, so like you would be seeing him every day, and he was just somebody a male figure in my life at that time where I attached myself to, and it was just easy because I had such a good relationship with him, and now he's going to be one of my best men at the wedding. Do you know what I mean? So like he. Even outside of football, he would be the go-to man in terms of questions. Even now, I'd still like ring him up and be like, "Look, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?" Right. So I've that there. Them two probably would be the most like.
Yeah, and going back to your coach, I think this podcast really is geared to being able to be a resource for kids and young athletes, not just about training, but really kind of about life and doing the right things, becoming the best version of themselves. And I think one thing kind of today that kids struggle with is being coached hard. And you know, sometimes I've seen it where if you try to coach them hard, they kind of just shy away and you don't get much out of them. But what would you say? What did you learn from being coached hard? Because I was coached hard also as a kid, and I think there's a lot of value in that. And it doesn't mean that coach doesn't like you, or I would argue that it a lot of times means the opposite, is that they do see something in you.
I definitely agree with you. I think times have changed that. Whenever me and you were growing up, no matter regardless if you were in Ireland or in America, I think that's just the way coaches were back then, and I just think it's where the world is right now in terms of like coaching and stuff. But I take it back to that same thing I said about like working twice as hard for half a chance. I just think kids these days, and it's no disrespect to like them, but they want to train not hard for every chance. Do you know what I mean? And it's like I don't know. It's for me personally, for kids that like, and if I was coaching kids, the first thing I always try and get across to them, but depending on the age, is like at the U8 and U10 age group, you do want to work on fundamentals. You do want to work on skills. That's how they become better footballers. And you're not being hard at them.
You can't go right to the fancy stuff.
I'll probably strike a nerve on a couple of people when I say this, but like for me, it isn't. It's not to go out and have fun. Do you know what I mean? And like, yes, fun's part of it, but you're in the sport at the start for the fun. That's what grows. But once you get to that 16, 17, 18, if you can't figure out there and then that this is a competitive thing over it being fun, I think that's where we get lost a lot, because I still know players now, some of the players that were on my club team, if I even talk to them in a certain way now, I would lose them on the football field.
Right.
Like if I was saying, like, don't do this, I need you to do that, then you know they'd shrink away and they don't want the ball. There's still people like that, and I think you need to have some kind of person in your life that, like that coach for me, like that manager for me, like that was definitely that hardened me at that time.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Like that changed how I perceived any type of game, any type of training. It instilled a competitiveness in me that I still have now. Like for me, football is not about having fun; it's about winning. Like, you know what I mean? And the fun will come after. The fun's always going to be there. There's always going to be trips. There's always going to be team bonding sessions. There's always going to be nights out. But at the end of the day, you play the sport to win. And like for me, I just don't feel like kids these days, and like all depends on the age for me. But like this,
and your expectations.
Your
Too.
expectations.
If you just want to be on the team, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are expected playing time and you're not putting in the work, it's like, well.
But it's attitude. Like I've always said, like I even said to the boys the other night in training, like your attitude determines how successful you are, and it's just as simple as. And
yeah, two things you can control: your attitude and your effort. Nobody else can control it.
I try to tell these boys, like everybody's going to have a team. Everybody has a team. And when you step out onto the football field, it genuinely comes down to who wants it more.
Yeah.
And that all comes from the environment, your attitude, and how you perceive the game. And there's always a certain time of the year I feel where a team gets it. It finally hits home. Sometimes, like us, my main aim is to make sure the players know, like, number one, for instance, of this year, like, it's a massive year.
Yeah.
Like, you're a part of a massive year now. The North American finals are in Philly.
Yeah.
You are the players that are now required to go and do a job. Do you know what I mean? And it's hard to get them out here. It's harder to attach them so seriously to the football because the football season's so much shorter here.
Right.
At home, you're training 10 out of the 12 months.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And you're playing all year round. So there is plenty of games and there is whatever. But whenever we stop playing for a while, I find it really hard to get them back going again, get them back into the mindset, and it'll come in time. It always does. But for me, like in kids, it's definitely mental toughness will be a big thing for me. Like in terms of if you're going to excel at your sport, if you want to take your sport to the elite level, you have to perceive it as something that is very, very important for you.
Well, because like you said, when you went to county bones, like everybody's just as good as you. So how are you gonna differentiate?
I just noticed the difference in the trainings, how everybody prepared.
Well, that's it too. Because I'll see a lot of times with the kids, it's like, you know, if they're in training, they don't take it as seriously. But the reality is, if you don't build the habit of taking training seriously and practicing seriously, it's not just gonna all of a sudden, oh, it's game day, I'm gonna turn it on. It doesn't really work that way.
Mm-hmm.
As cliche it is, you know, how you practice is how you play. So if you're half-assing in practice, at some point you're going to half-ass it in the game. So it doesn't just because it's game day, it doesn't just change everything. How do you show up at practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays? It's going to reflect how you're going to play.
It's a standard, and it is a very important. I'll be honest, it's a very, very important thing for me. Is how you train will reflect on game day, but there's no doubt about it. And I always said to them, like, exactly the words out of your mouth. If you want to half-ass it on a Tuesday and Thursday, you will half-ass it on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it does come from training. How successful you are is the standards you put in place, the attitude that you want to get from them, and I think you just have to let people know, like, what the importance of everything and what is going on around them. It's very important, I think, to let players know, like, it's always something bigger than yourself. Like playing a team sport is never about you.
It's not just about you. No.
And like I don't think I would do well in a sport where I would be beating myself up and it's me against me, because all I've ever known is team sports.
Yeah.
But with that comes the factor of you have to take people out of the individual mindset and set them into the team mindset.
Yeah.
And that they are just another cog in the wheel. And if one cog doesn't want to go in the wheel, the bus isn't going to go. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like everything comes from the standards that you set at training, and that starts from the very top. Like that starts from management, coaching, training, through captains, everything the whole way. That's
culture.
It filters in, and if something's wrong at the top, you best be sure something's wrong from the bottom.
Absolutely.
So that's what I just try to do with young Irons, just make sure like we are efficient in what we do, both on and off the field.
Yeah.
How you carry yourselves, standards. Training has to be at a certain standard. And it just creates a winning mentality, and that's all I've ever known. And if I can pass that into any group of players, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's where I have them at now. So it's going to be a big year.
What is your role within the Young Islands right now?
So obviously, as you know, a couple of years ago, I broke the ankle. I was actually captain for that year.
Yeah.
And I was looking to have a big year that year. I obviously broke the ankle early on. And now, within that time, the last 2 years, I kind of stepped into helping Declan Gormley out at the managing, and would have took all the trainings and stuff, and would have got a lot of positive feedback from me doing that. Like, boys loved me taking training, loved how things would go and stuff like that. So it was a huge thing for them. But this year, I'm finally getting back into playing again. So looking forward to it. And rumor has it you're coming back. I'm definitely gonna have to put the boots on.
Have to.
So I have a pair of white boots out there for you if you want.
All right, don't tempt me. So I'm looking to play.
Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to it.
And so this year, as you mentioned, the finals are in Philly, and how important is that for the club, and not just say our club, but all the other Philly clubs to have it here. And what last year was where
San Francisco.
What it was Boston
Before it was Denver,
Chicago 1 year.
Chicago. It's all over, yeah.
And so to have it here, it's a big deal.
It is.
What does that mean for Gaelic football in the Philadelphia area?
I mean, for the division itself, for the Philly GA division, it's huge. Like, it's the biggest stage out here is coming to your city, so everyone's coming in with a chip on their shoulder, looking to win something, win a cup. For the teams in Philly, it does amp it up a bit. There's no doubt about it. I don't know what it is, because we have treated any of the last couple of North Americans that we've went to, we've took them very, very seriously.
Yeah.
As I would expect a lot of teams coming in here to do as well.
For sure.
Which they will do. But it's just the fact it feels like you're home.
Yeah.
It nearly feels like not like an advantage, but like you're coming, if you do advance to the North Americans, you've obviously won the Philadelphia Championship.
Yeah.
Which is going to be hard enough to win as well, because as you said, now with it being here, everybody's going to a piece of the cake. So I expect a really competitive year this year from a Philadelphia division standpoint. It won't be easy winning it for any team.
Right.
And then that instills a wee bit more pride then whenever you take the stage of North Americans and you're representing Philly at that point.
Yeah.
So then that's when it becomes the bigger fish to fry. But the last couple of years we've been able to get a couple of North Americans. We were beat in a couple of finals, a couple of semi-finals. So we've always been thereabouts and playing on the big stage, which is where you want to do. And considering that we would be a smallish kind of club, it's been a huge 7-8 years for young Ireland's, like massive. I don't think the club's ever been this competitive as to what it is right now. So the club's in a good shape, and we're just looking forward to getting the year started, to be honest.
Yeah. What's been the life cycle of football in America? How much has it grown, or where did it start to where it is now?
I can't speak for other cities, because but other cities do have, like Boston has a huge following up there in terms, I think maybe 11, 12 teams up there.
Oh, really?
Boston is Chicago, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams. I don't like on a good. Sometimes teams will filter off and take a break for maybe a year or whatever and come back. But San Francisco has two or three teams there. They used to have a lot of teams. Philadelphia used to have a lot of teams, maybe 9 or 10 teams years ago, 20 years ago, and football was big here at that point.
What happened?
I don't know. I think just obviously there had to be some kind of break in numbers for it to dwindle away. So obviously maybe they went through a stage or a patch where people had stopped coming here, and because at that point it would have been very reliant on Irish people.
Right.
There has been a huge American inclusion now in the last 7, 8 years since I've been here.
Yeah.
Like playing on the senior team, you're required to start 2 American borns.
Yeah.
So that's people that were born here and grew up without, having went home and playing at home. Like you can't play at home to be considered American born.
Right.
So it's genuinely people that have picked up the sport in this country that are born here. And like there has been a huge inclusion, and the numbers are going to keep rising in that in terms of how many you have to field. So it's very, very important that we keep the conveyor belt of American-born people. That's why we're always recruiting so heavy in terms of asking new people to come out, because it's very, very, very healthy to have an American foundation as well.
Absolutely.
This club, up until the time I was here, like maybe one or two Americans throughout the whole 40 years in existence, and like it was ironic too. This year's actually the 40th anniversary, so um, I just feel like people people look at it in a different way. Obviously, you have an American-born team in Philadelphia as well, the Dabble Gales, who started a youth team whatever amount of years ago, and built them lads up from U8s the whole way through, and them boys are just as good as Irish footballers. For the simple fact is they've been playing football the same amount of time.
Right.
So they done well as getting that started up. That's great, but it doesn't have the other clubs that have a huge Irish following, a huge Irish foundation that are built off Irish people. So we have to go out and recruit, and it's been going well. There's a couple of new players this year, a couple of young, really young lads as well that have joined up, and they love it. And each year, I think the whole American inclusion in it, and it is getting bigger. Even more at the North Americans, we're seeing more and more and more teams coming from Charlotte, Boston. Like there's teams from cities you wouldn't even think. And I was actually down in Charlotte a couple of years ago at a girls tournament, and I was talking to the boy down there that kind of started the whole thing down there, and he's saying they're just trying to grow and grow, and obviously they're at the very early stages of it, but it's getting big. In college football now have teams. Notre Dame have a team and stuff, and it is just getting bigger out here. Definitely, it's going to take a bit of time, but eventually it will filter to the world stage. I assume in down the 9, 10, 20 years. There's a massive following in Australia as well of Irish. Oh yeah. Where else did I see they were playing Dubai? They have teams in Dubai now.
Right.
And then they do this thing now back home in Croke Park, where they do the World Games, and teams come and fly into Ireland and play tournaments in Ireland. So cool. It's getting bigger. GAA is definitely, in terms of widespread, has definitely broadened its horizons.
Yeah.
And it'll only help the teams here. Yeah. Sometimes it's not easy. Like sometimes it's not easy to keep it going. You'll have bad years. You'll have years when you don't think maybe this is the right time to have a team. It's up to us then as a board to make sure it does get fulfilled. And it's not easy running the club out here. It's definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, even the club, like you have a game over in Ireland every year, right? That's the jersey from this year.
That's a jersey from. We've actually played my hometown team, Stewartstown. It's Red on at Young Irons versus Stewartstown, 20th of December. It was a pretty cool moment for me because I got to go home and play against my old team, play against cousins and stuff, and then for the second half I played for them against the Young Irons. So it was cool, and that again it just keeps putting our club on the map, and that's what I want to keep trying to do. It's a tradition I'd like to continue to do, where we go home and play a game.
Absolutely.
Obviously,
it happen again this year.
I think with the wedding it might be a bit tough, because you're asking people to go home in October and then go home in December again for a game. So, and they can only really play you in them. That's their off season, December. You know what I mean? So
October's Scotland, of course.
Yeah, so that was a pretty cool experience. A lot of people that have played for the club that went back to Ireland, the people that have come out for the summer or 1 or 2 summers, like they all come and play on the game, and they get to play with the Young Irons again, and they all come and talk about their summers and their experiences and their memories, and it's cool. That's very cool.
So explain to me, because I still don't necessarily understand this. When you're recruiting kids to come over, why would one of the kids want to come over and play? And 2, like, if you play for County Tyrone, where is just say the Gales or Kevin Barry's or Donegal, are they bringing people from the same spot, or are they picking people from other parts of the country?
That's a fair question. We would have got a bit of flack there recently for being too Tyrone prominent. But we do broaden. Like, we've had players from Dublin play for us. Louth, like there's people from Armagh, like we do reach out to other counties and stuff. You're just going off of. For me, whenever I made the decision to come here, I knew in the back of my mind, I was like, I want to play football in America someday. So it does be a thing growing up with people back home. That so people do jump at opportunity when they're asked.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a summer away. You get to come out and play football and enjoy the warm weather, go to the beaches. Like there is a different lifestyle to it. A lot of players actually come out and be really, really, really like sad leaving like at the end of summer. Like they just because you create that type of environment for them. And one thing we would pride ourselves on is how they're looked after. So like we do a lot of things with them. We organise a lot of trips.
Get them work.
We'll get them work. You know, we'll organise team days away. Any weekends we don't have a game, we'll go away and do something. And
Right.
you're just trying to make sure them boys have a good enough summer where they can go back home and be like, look, Young Irons are a great club. I went out to them. You get
Right.
luck and
Reputation and experience.
so like, and then we hope we leave them with a good reputation where they can turn around and their next buddy and it's like, I heard you're looking to go to America. Young Irons, I get looked after really well there. They're a good club, great people.
Yeah.
And honestly, over the last 7-8 years, that's kind of where we've went with our recruitment is people are reaching out to us to come now because they've heard of other people.
Yeah.
Our club is severely grown to the eye back home, whereas when I first came here, not so much. People probably wouldn't have heard of Young Irons, but I've seen a couple of photos there actually of club colours day they do down in Belfast.
Yeah.
It's like a college thing where they all put their club colours on and they go drinking for the day. One of the best days of the year. That's awesome. I remember I wasn't even down in college and I was one of the club colours there. I was still in high school. And that's how big of a deal it is. And I actually seen a photo go up and there's like a couple of our jerseys there, like people we didn't know. So like
It's awesome.
I always try and put a huge emphasis in to make sure jerseys are good too because I'm a jersey guy, like everything's to the eye, like, and
Of course.
if you look sharp, you know you play sharp too. So that's the way I play. But no, like we will. There'll be people that reach out to us about coming over, and they'll be like, "Oh, we heard such and such, such and such was playing here, and it was good." And it's more so they can come out and they can play football. They have that 3-month holiday visa that they can use, obviously. And they usually stay the 3 months, which is how long the championship really lasts. They get a huge experience. Sometimes, obviously, anyone who comes this year won't get the opportunity, but a lot of the times too, like you're at the end of the year, you do have a North American to go and try and play for.
Right.
So that's another trip that they get. Like they're going to San Fran. They're probably going to San Fran last year. They know people that went to Boston, Chicago. Right. They meet up with them. It's crazy. The North Americans is like. It's like a gathering back home in Ireland. The same people, oh, you know, what's up, I haven't seen you. It's cool, like it's really cool experience. Like, and it's good that we get to host it this year. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited to be back and be able to be part of it and actually see it for the first time because I've never been to.
Yeah, I might have started a couple of rumours the other day that you were coming back. There's a couple of happy people now, definitely. Oh, you loved it, lad. I mean, obviously you've been away from us there for a while, but obviously you keep in touch with us and anything we need from you in terms of, from a science side of it and conditioning and stuff, we don't be afraid to ask you, and it's good to have you back home now, and let's get you back out into the boots, I think, anyway.
I'm ready. I'm ready. No push over patience, but I'm ready.
We'll keep you in contact for a while.
And I think that's also important. I guess just I've noticed watching from the outside is, you're at home and everything is centered around football. So you're constantly training, you're constantly this, you're constantly that. And then you come over here and now it's like you're living somewhere new. You might be working. Mm-hmm. And so then what happens? The training, you're not training as much. You're not in the gym. Then you have to get like a gym membership, and it's the resources to continue to do it are not as I would say maybe accessible because it's not as popular where all the attention is on it, and so that then does become a challenge for some of the boys that come over is how do you stay training and how do you stay consistent because you have to keep. I mean, physically it's a very physically demanding sport. You
Yeah.
have to be in shape. You can't just think you're gonna show up.
I mean, as you said, like them, some of them guys that are coming over are training 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
Then you're dropping them down to 2 nights a week.
Plus, there's a lot of distraction
A
here.
lot of distractions. We have been fortunate enough now that any of the players that have come out to us over recent years have been pure and utter football crazy. So there hasn't been a lot of running after guys the last couple of years, but for me it would be like I've seen them come out. The guys that be training 5 nights a week, and when they do get out here, they do look after themselves. They do on off nights. They're at the gym. They keep up their routine. They do it themselves. Because as you say, back home, you have to do it yourself as well. All they know back home is training every day of the week. So you take that away from them. Yes, a lot of guys will use this as a. It's crazy to say this, but a lot of players back home use this as a break to get away from the seriousness of how home is. I've had players say that to me, like, it's good to get out here and freshen it up.
Which is a fair argument for them too.
I've had players that have come out and haven't really been in love with football, leaving Ireland, and after going home with a completely changed outlook on football, because
it's great.
The non-serious factor of back to 2 nights a week, which is what it used to be years ago, like 2000s, it would have been like 2 or 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
Club level at the minute would still be 2 nights a week, but like they do train in gym other nights.
Yeah.
So the gym aspect is now filtered into the club aspect back home, which is insane as well, because they're, the county level is a different ball game, but when it's reaching grassroots now, and you have 16, 17, 18-year-olds in gyms just playing for their club, which is good too. Like the clubs are obviously putting a lot of onus on trying to develop their own players as well. So I like that as well. But I've had players come out here and use this nearly as like something to freshen it up, and get away from the seriousness of what home is, to come out here. And I've enjoyed my football more since I've came to this country. Yeah, big time.
I think it's similar to kind of what goes on in youth sports here in America. Is like the sports specialization, and you play from when you're just use like you use lacrosse or like baseball as an example. You're playing, and all you're doing is playing. You're playing baseball all the time, but you're playing lacrosse all the time. And if you start at 9, by the time you're 16 and you're playing serious all the time in the intensity, and like you just never have a chance to pull back for whatever reason it may be. Like it does burn you out, and then then you're like 16, 17, you're like tired of this, and you're just then you're getting to your most important ball. So
yeah, that's essentially what you described is basically what happened to me. So I was 21 at the time, and that was my 6th year of senior football.
Yeah.
At 21, senior football, club football, I was playing from I was 16. So I'm like being heavily used at that, not just filtered in at 20 or like I was playing, that was it. And it was, I remember playing against the club. This was 3 weeks before I decided to first come out here for the summer. Yeah. And I remember one of the older players coming up to me from the other team, and I know him outside of football, and he was maybe 31, 32 at the time, and I was only 21. And he turned around and he goes, Jesus, man, how long have you been playing? I was like, 6 years. And he was like, what? You're still 21? I was like, 21. And he was like, I thought you were about 25, 26. But that's just how you play. After long I've been around the scene from an early on days. Then the week after, we played in the first round of the championship against Cookstown, and we were beat. So we were out of championship, and then that's whenever the whole materialisation of coming to Philadelphia was a thing, because championship was before the summer back home at that time, and we were out then for the rest of the year. And I was just like, I need like something needs to happen here, and I really, really, really looked forward to coming here. Yeah. And when I got here, it was what I dreamed of and more, because I remember my first game or second game, we actually lost the game, and was it Damien Butler or Anthony Daly came up after and sat a box of beer down in the middle of the huddle, and I was like you get beer here? We lost, like this. This is great. I want to no pressure. This is great. This is really painted back the seriousness of it.
We lost here.
What was, I'm not joking, it was not something so small like that made me realise, right, yes, there is more to life than football.
Of course.
Coming to this country did really hit the hammer home on that. And then it allowed me to enjoy the football even more.
Yeah.
Because once I realised that there was more to life than it, of course, then it became more enjoyable.
And I think that's really important for anybody who plays a sport. And I certainly struggle with it. It's like you play something for so long, and then your whole identity gets wrapped up into that sport. Like I've been playing American football since from when I was 5 to when I was 22. I played for 18 years, and I just thought once it was done, like my identity was just a football player, right?
Yeah.
And so you play something for so long, but you have to realize that there's more to life than just that. Your sport is what you do, not who you are. You're Ryan, not the football player. You're now going to be a husband. You're a business owner, right? You're a son. You're a friend. You have other roles in your life that because football ends.
Yeah, it does.
Lacrosse ends. Basketball ends at some point. You got to get on. You got to get on with your life.
Like, how did you feel? What was your strip back moment where it was like? Because I feel like, and it just kind of happened to me whenever I broke my ankle that time 2 years ago. Like, I remember coming home and just crying. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like people would be like, Jesus, like as long as you're all right. And it's like, but no, it's not. Like, it's like when it is everything, God, see when it's stripped back off you, it's tough to swallow. Like, and it's
Yeah.
and then even at that younger age when you're 21, 20, and it's like as you say, you lose the identity of it, and it's like you are lost without it.
Yeah. Well, some people take it and then they put it into their job, but then you identify as
Like, was there a moment for you
where
when it was stripped back for you? Like, when did you notice there was more to life than the actual, the competitiveness that you strive for all the time?
When did I notice it? Good question. I felt it a lot the year after I graduated college, and we didn't go to camp. And then I was struggling to find or figure out what it is that I really
Wanted to
do. Yeah, and it took me a couple of years to actually figure that out. And I tried a couple of things, and I didn't really excel in that. I didn't like it that much. And all I wanted was to find something that I loved just as much as I love playing football. And so it took a couple years, and it didn't really hit me until I actually. It sounds funny and again cliche, but until I actually started to work on Rockne as the person. What areas
100%
about myself do I need to start to address to to kind of just figure out who I am. That it wasn't just a football player, and so it took messing it up and kind of going through it to getting off track a little bit to help kind of.
Isn't it weird though when how much it consumes you, and then when it is like stripped back a bit and you do go looking for yourself in it, it's like this has been part of my life for so long and this is all I know, and then like 1 minute it's just like there's something I feel like always clicks or something that happens for you to realise that it isn't the be all and end all.
Yeah.
And I actually do believe, like, once you do realise it isn't the be all and end all, you actually play better. Like, I think you play with more freedom because you're not. And like, listen, I'm the first person. I hate losing more than anything else.
Yeah.
And like more than the winning, I hate losing. And it's not just about the games. It's not just I'm just competitive in nature. But like I've realised to see like the fun side of the competitiveness.
Yeah.
And everything. Like it could be beer pong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't want bait.
Yeah.
I do not want bait. And like if Keelan's down the other side, like, I'm best believe I'm not going to bait. And it's like we take them things from football. I think we take them things from our sport, and they do enter our everyday lives. We're just better people.
Yeah.
Than what we were when we were 2021.
Yeah.
Because it just consumed us.
Yeah.
And if I remember coming home and if we were baiting a minor game, like my mum knew not to talk to football.
Yeah.
If I lost a game.
Yeah.
I would come in, bag would get fired at the doorstep, I'd be upstairs, into the shower, out. Football wasn't spoke about for maybe a couple of days.
And I think that's good. I think that's a good way. That's a good way to go about it. It's just like
my mum was a huge factor in how I dealt with sport.
Yeah.
Because I realised, like, no matter what, I was not going home to sympathy. And she didn't, like, it wasn't that she was being hard on me. She just realised, like, I find that she was a big part of maturing me as what into who or what I am right now, because it didn't matter if I lost or won. She was still going to act the same way. So she never, ever, ever brought up football. She wasn't one of the parents that went to games and you could hear her vocally on the sideline.
Right.
The game didn't matter. I could have been beat by 20 points or won by 20 points. She was still going to be herself. I think that allowed, I loved that. I loved going home to the stripped back. Football didn't come through the door.
I think that's a big part of not being.
Well, back home, I do know people that have struggled with that because their household is live and die by it.
And so you feel like
fathers are hard.
Yeah.
You were useless today, and do you know, like I know that there's a lot of that did go on, and I think I was just lucky enough to be able to go home to a place where football wasn't a conversation, and it's funny, like, because I would see her sometimes, and she would just be kind of like looking to bite at it and be like,
yeah.
And the only time I remember she ever said anything was someone was holding my leg one time in a under 18 game and wouldn't let me hit the free kick quick, and I kind of like threw back on him to let go of me. You know, she seen it. Don't know how she seen it. Like, she was way up in the stands. I don't know how she seen it. And the game went on, whatever. And it was actually a final. We ended up winning it. And I came back home to the house and set the bag in next thing. Called me by the ear. She's like, "If I ever see you lash out at someone again." That was the only time she ever spoke to me about football.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, it sounds like it wasn't even about like football. It's about how you were showing up as
100%.
the character. It was more of a character.
You can lose football games, but you'll not act like the way, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I know she was like, I could care less if he's beating on you. Like, you don't have to lift your arms. Yeah.
I think that's good, because if your mom your worth to your mom was never about how good you were.
Never.
At football, and I actually think that allows you to relax and play better, because now you know you're going to be unconditionally loved.
Yeah.
Where it's not like, Ryan, you didn't score today.
It was a huge part of my growth, like a huge part of it.
Yeah.
So
because I think that's so important. What as we start to tie this up, what is your hopes? Two questions. What is your hope for Gaelic football in America? And then please finish and tell us what to look forward to from the young hearts this year.
Goals for the season.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would be till obviously the main goal is win a North American title. Like, that's been the same goal every year now for whatever amount of time. Yes, I understand you have to come out of Philadelphia in order to do that, but that's still the overall goal.
Of course.
I don't really like living by, we'll see how it goes as it goes along. I do think you need a main goal. Was actually training the girls the other night, and I asked them at the start, is like, give me a personal goal and a team goal.
Yeah.
All their team goals was to win North American. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of sits with everybody the same way. That is what you're playing the football for.
Yeah, it's your North Star.
It's the end goal. It can't go any further than that. So that's the bright lights. So I'm looking forward to this year. Just on a personal level, just want to get back out, to be fit again, play football. I do feel I've taken more of a liking to it now than I ever have. Just with that small stint back there at the start of the year, made me feel really part of it again.
Yeah.
I know I filled in a couple of games last year here and there, but I was still fighting that mental side of breaking the ankle, and it's
getting over that.
It's gone now.
It's good.
It's gone now. But things to look forward to this year from the Young Ireland standpoint. It's our 40th anniversary, so the club's been in existence since 1985. So regardless of what happens on the football field, like, we still have a huge
thing to celebrate.
So hopefully at the end of it, there's trophies that go along with it. But regardless, the gala's actually in November. After, we'll all be home for the wedding, obviously, but we'll come back and we'll celebrate the club having 40 years. So it's a huge occasion for the club, and I'd expect a lot of people to be there. There'll probably be people from Ireland that'll come over for it as well. So it's a huge gala night in the middle of November. And
Where's the gala this year?
I think it's actually being held at Paxton Hollow Country Club. Is where where the actual night of it is. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what was talked about. But no, it's pretty very very exciting. All our gear, all our new gear this year for so all our the old crest on it as like a thing for the 40 years. Like it's the old Young crest. So and our jerseys are going to have that as well. So now I'm looking forward to this year. It's going to be a good one, and especially we get Moy to top it all off.
That's going to be awesome. I feel grateful that Justin and I are able to come, and yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be worth.
Get to see it. Really what it's like to go on a 3-day.
Trip, right? It's gonna.
Why not? It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
So, RD,
Pleasure.
thanks for coming on, buddy.
Not a problem. Pleasure being here.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
We will.
All right.
Awesome.